Yes, my people. Big PROZECH back again with another video. Welcome. You know what we do here, man. We talk all things sneakers, kicks, and crepes. And today we have another episode of Kicks Chronicles. Now, Kicks Chronicles is a show where we take a walk down memory lane with some amazing people. We look at the kicks that sort of informed their childhood, what they were looking at when they were growing up, all the way down to the modern day. Today, my guest has been referred to as a social activist, an entrepreneur, many hats. He wears many of them. If you talk about Drummer Boy, he's rocking it. You talk about the Black Business Network, 56 Black Men, you get me? All culminating most recently in his handwritten ode to his son and our community, the letter to Zion. He's my bro, like early. Big Cephas Williams in the house. Welcome to Kicks Chronicles. What's kicking, my bro?
Yes, family. Don't gas me in it.
Bruv, you've done a few bits. You've done a few bits. I'm
listening to you and you're making me pretty stupid. Making me crease on a different level. Well, appreciate you inviting me, man. And
man, we love it, man. We love it.
I remember we spoke before and I was kind of like, boom. We just started chopping up in it. He was like, oh, I'm doing this thing on it. And I was like, look, should we just save the chop up for the thing in it? Because if we get into it now, then we're gonna do it all over again, kind of thing. So yeah, man, like we could do this off camera or on camera. So
just so everybody's like aware, Cephas is a deeper guy. If you haven't had the opportunity to sit down or hear him speak, like he's a real one. You get me? And he's got interesting opinions on various different subjects. So this Kicks Chronicles may go in a million different directions. Who knows? You get me? It may be slightly different. There may be a couple parts to this thing. Who knows far gone? If we keep it rolling, we keep it rolling. You get me? All I know is you're gonna get some amazing content. But yeah, bro, let's kick it off, man. Yeah, let's kick it off. So one question I always ask first is, when you were growing up, there may have been, or hopefully there would have been, one particular pair of kicks that you saw that you kind of fell in love with. I call those the gotta have it, because they said something to you. They said, like, if you get me, I'm gonna change the game for you. If you get me, you're gonna start getting straight A's. If you get me, things are gonna change. You get me? Your whole aura is gonna change. You get me? Tell the people, what was that particular shoe for you?
So it's interesting because when you hit me up as well, like I was telling you, like I'm not really like kick guy or the sneaker guy.
Yeah,
I'm not that guy. So I'm rubbish with names. You know what I mean? And I don't know. But we chopped up about this one kick when you initially hit me up. I think they were Jordan, and they were red and black ones. Have you got the? Did you look into them?
Yeah, I think what you were referring to when we spoke before, you mentioned they were called the airships. They were like in the band colorway. They were like red and black.
Yeah, it was definitely the airships. So these ones.
Yeah.
But, what's it called? I didn't have a clue what they were called from.
How did they come into your? How did they even come into your vision? Where did you see them that made you think, you know what, these are fire?
I'm gonna just add it to my thing. The airships. That thing.
Fire, man. Yeah.
But I would have rocked them to this thing.
The vibes changed.
The vibe is changed, definitely. And because it's mad, because it was them type, but I think mine might have had like a different colour mix.
You were saying that there was some gold or something.
No, I had the red ones first. And
okay.
Gold ones.
Okay.
You know?
And you know, golden guys out here, bro. Like trying to bull with gold on your shoes, yeah. Your game must have been hard, or what? You get me? Because people are looking at you differently when there's gold on your kicks.
Yeah, it's mad. The vibe went like basketball is the vibe as well. When I watch basketball now, like you see people, the maddest kicks in it, like. But I used to play basketball, which is why, but you know. when you play basketball, it is very much like you. I remember like, so it was them first, and I had the gold ones, and I used those ones very rarely, and then I went to see the Globetrotters, and the Globetrotters all signed the kicks and that, and you know the kicks are somewhere. But beyond that, there was these ones that Wade brought out. So Wade had some kicks that he brought out as well. I can't remember the names to save my life, but they were the ones I wanted. I remember wanting kicks like no man's business.
So you're talking about Dwayne Wade?
Yeah, Wade.
You're talking about the Leanings, the way of Wade.
What's it called?
Leaning. So it's a Chinese brand, Li, little dash, Ning, and they're called the Way of Wade. And he's still got them coming up.
It wasn't those. It was like back in the day, fam.
Really? It must have been those.
Back in that, it wasn't these. It was back in the day. Back in the day.
I think he was originally with Nike, so he might have had a Nike deal, but I don't know what ones he was rocking early doors.
Every time I've typed in thingies, all that's coming up is the ones you mentioned.
Yeah, those are the ones that are closely associated with him because he's been with Leaning for about 13 years, I think. Like he's been with them for a long time.
I've got a couple of the ones. So this is a mad. This is memories, you know.
Talk to me.
I'll put it up and I'll show you right now. Hold on. I'm trying to get. Look at these kicks now, yeah. I wouldn't rock them, but I played ball in it. I played ball.
Show the kicks, bro.
These look hard though, don't get twisted. Now these do look hard, don't get twisted. But
they're Converse. Are they Converse?
Converse.
Wow, they're Converse. Converse kicks. You're right. I think he might have been with Converse for a minute. I think you're right.
Like some at the time anyway, they look like some futuristic type of make you run faster type of make you jump higher type of.
Them ones there, boy.
But it was that, and then there was one that was half black and half white as well. So after the Jordans, they were the next ones. But again, I really only had them kicks for basketball purposes. So it wasn't like, as much as I did wear them outside of basketball, it wasn't really to me like I'm a sneaker guy that's buying all these kicks and you know what I mean, like trying to rock them. Like that was what was hot at the time. I'm probably at that point I would have been. So when I got the Jordans up until then, I probably would have been between the ages of 12 and 13 and like 15. Them times.
Okay.
After them times, like I didn't really like pattern kicks like that. Like at one point, it became like the plain white, you know, Air Force and the plain black. Like now it's just plain. Like I just.
We will definitely get into all of that because I think the key thing from these conversations that I take away is that everybody has a reason why they wear what they wear. In the same sense, they watch what they watch, or they drive what they drive, or they eat what they eat. And that's the thing that I think myself, for number one, that's what I'm most interested in. This isn't necessarily about who's got the biggest collection or who's got the most knowledge, because that's not what it's about. It's about what do you like and what brought you into the game. And in saying that, yeah, one thing I always like to ask, because you huh?
I don't know if I'm in the game.
Do you know what? We're gonna find out. Everyone's there. One thing I like to ask you, right now, this you may not know the answer, but just give me your thoughts anyway. When you were growing up, like now when I was growing up, there was a kick that kind of was synonymous with my area. You get me? I grew up in Southeast London, right? And the area I grew up in was like synonymous with the Reebok Classic. There was Reebok Classics everywhere, in every kind of color. You get me? The Reebok Classics and the Reebok workouts, they were out there living their best life. They were reigning for a period. You get me? Like solidly. You get me? Like so. In my mind, when I think of my area growing up, or I think of my era, I really associate or closely associate it with the Reebok Classic. What would you say particularly were the type of shoes that you were seeing growing up in the area that you grew up in?
It was the Classics. It was Air Forces.
Hard.
At one point, there's this really, what's this one called? It's like, at one point, it was this one, it has like a fitted bit, like a fitted sock type of bit, then it has like some plastic around it.
The Huarache.
Huaraches were popping at one point, you know. Alright, I'm so shit with names, but the Huaraches at one point, and everyone was getting like all the different colours, and
Huaraches were out there, man. Very popular in Southeast.
Very
popular.
When Huaraches dropped, I remember like because I didn't get them straight away, but I remember going Toxford Street, and I was just about buying some things like that. I walked past what was like a Foot Locker or something, and there was a mad ass queue, and I said, "What's everyone queuing for?" Everyone was queuing for the Huaraches, bro.
Real talk.
Dead serious. People's like, "Yo, they got some new," like dead serious. It's like a Foot Locker. Huaraches was big when it came out, or when it came out, when it like re-emerged or whatever. I don't know.
Man, that's one thing I never did. You know, I never lined up for kicks.
Yeah, same. Like I don't mess with them enough to want to be queuing like that.
I've never done that. Like. Physically, I've done it like virtually recently online, but I've never physically done it, man. But yeah, but you're saying like I definitely agree. The Huaraches, like, because obviously I know we grew up in similar areas, man. The Huaraches were definitely like a massive shoe. Like I remember that all the way through end of secondary school, college, because obviously we're a little bit different in age, so definitely for college, for me, Huaraches were on fire. Like I remember I had a white pair.
Double back. So the white was out there, it doubled back. So after your college, it went away for a little bit, then it came back.
I agree. It definitely came in waves. I remember. Do you remember there was, you know, the regular one was the low one with the strap at the back. There was a high version with a strap on the front.
I wasn't trying to do the high version stuff.
But do you remember it though? Do you remember it?
But I can imagine it feels more like an American vibe. Like, you know, when they used, you know, those ones where they used to have like the wings on the shoe or whatever, like the strap will go in, it's like a wing or something. You know what I mean? I can't do it. I pick up everyone that can though. Like,
if you can pull it off, man. I saw a lot of big man in the end doing that.
A lot of futuristic stuff like that. I'm serious. We was doing bits. We was very forward thinking, futuristic. But I don't know. It's interesting when you start talking about what people can pull off, what people can't pull off. Because I think it is very much down to personality, lifestyle, you know, way of being. I just wouldn't feel like I'm just not. As it stands right now, and I'm, you know, subject to change or whatever, but a futuristic, you know, type of dressing type of guy. And that's why I'm probably more so now, my kicks, and I probably was more so when I played basketball. So I can imagine myself like wearing something with a strap. Like, actually, tell a lie, one of my shoes, if not another version of that Jordan piece, had a strap. But there's different variations. I had a thing, but that's when I was playing ball. But you know, the older I got, the more kind of withdrawn I got, to be honest, because I went through a lot of stuff in my life, innit? So I started to withdraw a little bit. My dress sense became more plain. So when I was talking, when I would wear like, I got a couple actually. Let me bring one for you right now.
Yeah, do your thing, bro.
So this would be my go-to like kick right now. Like these things.
Hard. Air Max 90. Can't be touched. Classics.
So I just, you know, and it's got like some material, and then it's got something. So, but I'm also I'll be black out, and I'll wear like a bomber jacket, and I'll wear that. Do you know what I mean? So
see, that's what I want to understand. Why do you have that shoe? Where did that shoe come from, bro? Like,
so it's interesting, I guess. So I'm someone who, and another shoe that I really rocked it for the longest time, probably a lot of people know me more so for this shoe, is the Air Max 95.
Yes, I was waiting for you to say it because I wanted to know if you even knew the name, bro. Because I've seen you wear them so much.
I had a couple of them.
Bro, I've seen you wear them so much. Like, and I just wanted to know if you actually knew what you were wearing.
Yeah, that one I know, innit? Because I bought it a few times.
No, man, that's a hard shoe.
I would wear it. So if I like something, I don't have to buy bare things. I'll buy the same thing, that one.
I'm 100. I'm with you, bro. I'm with you.
Then I can wear it, you know. Because I wore it so much to the place where the reason why I had a few, not just for the sake of having a few, but the one I was fucking like the bubble, whatever, the bubble thing, broke and that kind of stuff. So that was it really. And I just had one that I could just wear whenever, and I had one that I could wear when I was trying to keep it all the way patterned. But long and short, why? So I'm the type of person my go-to outfit would probably be, and you will know this of me, but it will probably be jeans, brogues, a button-down t-shirt and blazer. That's my go-to thing. If I want to, obviously lockdown, I've been doing just whatever. I've not really been wearing the blazer when I'm on Zoom meetings and that. I'll just wear what I feel like wearing that day. And I don't believe, I believe in everyone doing what they want to do. I don't feel like dressing up to come downstairs, and maybe it's because my house ain't like massive, but my house ain't massive, but it's people that I'll be like on Zoom and I'll go to the kitchen and I'll go to the living room and some like, oh man, like you got a couple rooms in your, because some people don't have that as well, so you've got to be grateful for what you do have. But I mean, if I was sitting on like a mansion with, you know, fitness room, this, that, garden that was huge, maybe my routine would mean that I would want to get up, go somewhere, do you know what I mean, dress up, I don't know. But when you just come out your room and, you know what I mean, land downstairs, go to the bathroom, come out, like, I'm not trying to put on a whole blazer on that. So yeah, but when I was going out and traveling and stuff, like more time I'd wear like a blazer, button down t-shirt, jeans and chino. That's my thing. And then because my lifestyle as well is, so this is a very interesting conversation, because for me it's mixing the casual and the the casual and the corporate.
Like smart casual, I think that's what they refer to it as.
No, not even that. Like I'm just talking about when I'm talking about the kids.
Oh, you're talking about the carpet.
Yes, when I'm talking about the kids, I'm talking about the casual. When I'm talking about the work, I'm talking about the corporate. So by way of my work, I'm in a lot of buildings. But to be honest, I go into buildings like this as well, do rag up everything. I know. So it just depends on how I'm feeling. But there is something growing up, like I used to see, to me, growing up, a businessman looked like he had the jeans, he had the blazer, and he had the button-down shirt. So I would almost, because I'm so reflective and I'm so in touch with where I got inspired by what, like that is what made me feel like, yo, like I like that look, because I was always on the fringe of that businessman narrative. I was doing business. So I would go into rooms and a lot of people would have these jeans, like whether it's the dark jeans, the brogues, the shirt, and so that informed my life. So if I was born in China, it would probably inform differently if I was born in the. But then I was born in New Cross. Do you know what I mean? So, and I was always
shout out New Cross,
even though I moved around. So for me as well, at the same time, all the older lot, they look a certain way, do you know what I mean? And they're the ones you look up when you're young. You look up into the old lot, they're able to do anything you're not able to do at that point. Whether it's they're driving, do you know what I mean? So, you know, you'll be included in that old lot category, because you know what I mean, when mum was still taking bus, you would, you know what I mean, you'd whip up, you used to have this black whip, you know what I mean? And it's like, I don't know what it was, but I just know, do you know what I'm saying? And this is the
shout out Lazarus, man. Shout out Lazarus, man. Putting him on blast, man. You remember my black whip, yeah? I was out here, bro. I was out here.
This is when Zach used to come with his Zach's chair and he'd lean like all the way back like this. Zach will pull up like this, like, you know what I mean? You'll be on road, yeah, just playing with your mates, and Zach will be out the window like this, like, oh my God. So, you know, and I'm not saying like I looked at you per se and said, yo, boom, but you are an image of like the older lot that I was growing up underneath, you know what I'm saying? So when you're looking at how you used to dress and how everyone else used to dress and how that would influence me thinking, okay, well, them man are driving, them man are able, even if it's a little thing, like them man are able to go to certain movies that I can't go to at that point. You know what I mean? I used to sneak in to watch 15s and 18s, you know what I'm saying? So, Syracuse, all them ways. So
them were there, bro. Shout out Syracuse.
So the longest and the shortest of it is 2 influences in my life came from the hood and then the world outside my hood, right? So the hood was very much influenced by, at certain points, African-American culture, the baggy stuff,
100.
And then also we had our own, resurgence of the fitted stuff that a lot of London boys rock.
100%.
And then at the same time, the world outside, because you have to understand. So I could see a Zach pulling up in a whip, or whoever pulling up in a whip, and where we're from, success drives past on 4 wheels, as they say, right? So whatever that whip is, so you'd see that as a success. But then I'd also at the same time be speaking to the CEO of X company. And you're very aware of that narrative is also, and I was 16, 17 at the time when I was speaking to some of the CEOs. So I'm meeting some of these CEOs or high net worth earners, really rich people, and they're wearing like a blazer, a button down shirt, jeans. And so in my head growing up, where I was most malleable, those were the 2 narratives. So I can switch it up when I feel like wearing a bomber jacket, a hoodie and some kicks. That's what it does. You know what I'm saying? When I feel like wearing a thingy, that's what it does. So that's where that comes from, because that the kind of the black kicks represents where I am in my space of comfortability in that way of dressing. Same with that's mad weird, because I've been known to wear some pretty statement blazers. So I'd more so wear a statement blazer than I would a statement shoe in it.
Shout out Blazer boys.
All day, yeah. You know the vibe.
Oh man, what you're saying is right, man. What you're saying is right, and I think
Exactly.
I want her.
I said Zach used to come out like this,
Bro, he's giving man too much boost. Like, don't watch it, bro. I was bare chilled. But one thing I wanted to touch on that you mentioned is like the different ideas of success. Like growing up in the ends, success can be as small as driving a car or having nice kicks or wearing nice clothes. When you get into the different meetings and different boardrooms and you understand there's a different type of success. Not saying that having a nice car isn't a form of success or degrading it in any way, because to some people it's really important and that's fine. But then understanding like there's another type of success and another area of power that you can enter into. And do you think having that ability to be able to thrive in the ends and in boardrooms came from that understanding? Wow, that's a level of success that I respect and admire on the ends, and this is also a level of success that I aspire to get to and admire, like in these boardrooms and on this grander level.
It's mad, because I'm deep in as well. I'm the type of person who I can count days where I've been going to a really important meeting in the city, and like someone in the bits or the man them stops me and it's like, yo, wow, go on, do you know what I mean? It's love. And next minute I'm in a building, whose business, is billions of pounds, you know what I mean? So that's the business kind of revenue or whatever it is. So, and I can count that. So it's interesting when you talk about perhaps my ability to navigate both worlds. That's quite an interesting piece. I wouldn't say I was consciously inspired or led with regards to Old Boom, but I do think how I've depicted it and how you've also extracted it with regards to different ideas or understandings of success. And at that point when you're in the bits, like Oxford Street when I was growing up was a big deal, like to go to Oxford Street.
Huge. It was huge.
Now it's not that deep, but
it's anything,
when I was growing up, you had to like plan that,
that was about 2-3 weeks worth of planning right there.
Now I'm growing up, but so it's that kind of thing. So I remember the first time actually I went to Oxford Street, not the first time I went to Oxford Street, but the first time I saw what would be the realization of really important, perhaps white people. And I was coming out of the BBC at the time. I was in communication with the then Director General, so the CEO of the BBC at the time. And I walked out. I hadn't met him that day, but you know, we were in conversation, and that's one of the reasons why I was in the vicinity. So I walked out of the building, and as I was walking out, 2 white men were walking in, and fam, I could smell them from a distance. And I said, "What's going on?" Like, not in a bad way, but like the fragrance was different. You know what I'm saying? And you know, someone was just shutting the door of like, there's like this blue Bentley or something. It was a Bentley, I think it was blue, and they had on again the blazer, the button-down shirt, the jeans. And it's mad how that kind of stuff really informs. And for me, it was just different. So when you talk about being what informed that for me, I'm a different human being. So you know, because I'm able to think of stuff from this level, I know what I did at certain areas of my life and certain points in my life to create who I am, and what, you know. And this also, there's an underlying notion of you are, when people say, you know, dress how you want to be addressed. I'm not a big fan of that statement, because I think you should dress how you want to dress, and people should address you in kind of period.
I completely agree.
But there was this notion of this understanding of, you know, if I would start to appreciate how people would receive me as well when they'd see me rock up in a blazer versus X, but then 56 black men for me, like, broken all of that, like, you know. And it's mad because I see it in my own reality, like when I'm talking to CEOs, even if I'm not in like a hood, I'm just like in a normal thing, like a top, like a Mark Zuckerberg would be in, or whoever. They know, look, like we still talk on a level. You know what I mean? And in the UK, because as people might be watching this around the world, that's rare. If you're not an entertainer, or if you're not an athlete, to be dressed normal and be taken seriously or appropriately by people in the establishment, like it's a rarity. So for that to be the case, so it's in, I've definitely, and again, I'm not perfect, so I'm giving away a lot of broken pieces of me here. It's like, boom, you know, this is why I did this, or this is what, because I don't feel like people should. If I could go back with the knowledge I had now, and pause, because sometimes we can overthink it as well. But if I could go back with the knowledge I had now, I might not have been so easily influenced. But the reality, the fact is, we have to clothe ourselves.
Yes.
We have to clothe ourselves. We get informed by what looks good from what is advertised to us, and ideas of nostalgia, and ideas of, you know, what is important and what is not important. So really, I just bounce around from those two realities when you're talking about the blazer thing and you're talking about the kicks and the casual thing. So I bounce around from those two different, and I really pick and choose what I think looks nice in each of those worlds. I'm not really and I might have done this in my lifetime, I don't recall, but I'm not really a mixer kick with a blazer type of person. I wouldn't wear kicks in a blazer. That might change as well. But no, so it's interesting. I'm very distinct. Like when I put on that, and then sometimes the music go with it too. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I'm just in that zone where I just want to get from where I'm going to where I'm getting. And I see also how, like, if I walk into a shop with my peacoat, my blazer, my thingy, my hair out, how I'm received by security to till, then if I walk in with my bomber, do you know what I mean, my kicks, how I'm received. So it's very interesting, and I'm very much a functional as well as I am a feeling dresser. So how am I feeling today, but also what's the function of today? If I'm going to be going to bare meetings, I'd rather wear something like that I can run around and move mobily in, and sometimes that comes with a rucksack. But if I'm going to wear a backpack, if I'm going to be in like 1 or 2, I might wear a blazer, and I might carry like a bag like that. So, and if you go on my website, you'll see like I bounce from all the different ones in all different settings. Yeah, so I spoke at the Apple store, for example, and I was just casual because that day I was running around. After that, like I was going shopping and stuff, so didn't really want to be. And I've spoken on stages for corporates. Like when I did Accenture's UK kind of conference, I rocked up there in my cap, do-rag, But that day I was moving around. I remember I had a suitcase in me that day. I think I was going somewhere else after. But when I did the global thing, so I did one of the conferences for Accenture's global leadership, and that was in Lisbon. I'd been to Cannes that same week, flew out from Cannes to Lisbon, and that was the only one I was doing that day. I wore a blazer. And when I went there, the atmosphere as well felt different. It called it different. I mean, so I was like, let me. You're
talking Monaco and Cannes and all of this one there, bro. It's not depth of market, fam. Shout out depth of market, but like, you know what I'm saying? Shout them out, yeah. But like, the vibe is different, so we meet the levels, isn't it? But like,
so to keep going on, but it's films and movies as well that informs it.
Of course. The thing is, nobody can deny growing up. When you were growing up, you're watching TV, you're reading books, you're having conversations, and people's opinions help to inform yours. You get me? Like what we were sold. You alluded to it earlier. What we were sold, what was advertised to us, what we were told was good is sometimes what informs our notion on what is good. What you see other people, you see somebody with a form of success wearing certain clothes, you think maybe if I wear those clothes, I can partake in some of that success. It's simple. I completely agree, man. I completely agree.
And just to go on that point, because this is really interesting topic. I'm gonna come back to that. What informs, if I wear that, I become that. But the films, you're watching a James Bond movie, and if he does go to, I said Lisbon, but if he does go to like a Monaco, he does go to Lisbon, he does go to a Budapest, you see the vibe, like you see the flexies on the beach, and it's like, I didn't grow up, it's really like, Peter's really big on this stuff as well, and he like, certain outfits, and you are somebody who's got certain outfits for certain, places.
Shout out Peter.
I'm saying all day. So, but if I'm going to the beach or the beach party, if I'm going versus what do I wear, and I didn't grow up on GQ like that. I'm saying, like, I'm the type of person who never grew up knowing, and because I'd go to some corporate functions. If you're being invited to this corporate function, this is the desired attire. This is the type of attire you wear. So even that informed it, because I would go to rooms with people just with jeans, blazer, and a shirt. And I might not be wearing it the same way they're wearing it. I remember when I started to learn that with the blazer you wear dark jeans.
Yeah.
If you wear light jeans, you're gonna stand out like you might not want to be standing out like that.
100%.
I started to learn, and so you see these things. So yeah, you're right. So if my lifestyle is that, I'll go to a Cannes and I'll go to Lisbon, or I'll go to an Oxford, whatever, the central London, and I'll go to, It might be different than what I'd wear if I was getting up and coming into my living room, or getting up and walking down the street to the shop. It may be different. So that's interesting. But just to go to that point of become what you wear, that's a really important piece and an interesting segue to 56. Because what we were trying to do with 56 was re-inform what that image stood for. I'm saying, because again, where I'm from, you're a bad man when you put on a uniform. Why? Because you've been advertised as a uniform. You've been advertised as the notion of what it means to be a bad man, even if you're the nicest person on earth. Mm-hmm. Because you're a black man, you are the icon of negativity. And so the hoodie was just an article that was added to that narrative, and every time you'd see him or whatever it was, and then you get young boys growing up, and they don't have to be bad. They just got to wear the uniform and walk into the shop one time and see how the security guard moves, and that gives them the power. They never had the hoodie didn't give them the power. It's how the world responded to the article. So the 56 piece, and you're talking about we grow up and we are informed by these things, and that we choose this weapon of choice, or we choose this clothing or garment or kick of choice because we think it gives us this persona. So me, the 56 piece was about how we re-inform that persona, because I'm a business person, you know what I'm saying? As a youth. So, and look at how we look. If a lot of black boys saw that actually this could be the uniform for a business person, perhaps that would be the path they go down. But because they're so used to seeing the uniform associated to negativity, you know what I'm saying?
That's why I think the 56 Black Men campaign was so important for me. I remember speaking to my wife about it when you sent out the message. And if anyone's watching, and you haven't had the opportunity to sort of research Cephas and 56 Black Men and some of the other like amazing things that he's contributed to, like, please, like, just go and look into it. You might see my face on one of the two other pictures. Calm, like, you get me, it's nothing. But yeah, the reason why I wanted to get involved was because I was thinking of the future. I was thinking of my children. I was thinking of my past. I was thinking of having experienced marginalization, having experienced these situations where for no, like, for no sort of nothing that you've done, you are now treated in a certain way. And I was thinking about my children, I was thinking about my community, I was thinking about, you know what can I do to make that situation better for those coming after me? And obviously when I saw that message, that was the thing that took me over the edge, the idea of what side of history am I going to be on? What side of this am I going to stand on? Am I going to be part of those that sort of look from the sidelines and say, you know what, I know it's a situation, but what can I do to fix it? Or am I going to be part of the change? And that's where I made the decision to respond to your message and say, you know what, fam, I want to be a part of it. You get me? So yeah, 56 was so important in that regard. And I think, you know what, yeah, talking about culture, talking about 56, talking about kicks, and talking about all of these different things, like, culture is so important. Like, understanding the influence of our Black culture on this country, like, we have to acknowledge how important that is. 56 Black Men didn't only just say, you know what, fam, nobody's born with a knife in their hand. Us Black men, we represent all different genres and parts of the workforce and the community. But also it said, you know what, yeah, I can rock whatever, you get me, and we can still respect each other. And that's the part I was like, because that's where I come from, bro. Like you alluded to it earlier, bro. I love my blazers, I love my shirts. Like there was a period in time where you probably weren't even gonna catch me in anything other than that. You get me? Because I was moving like that. But you get me? But the thing I enjoy more than that is the ability to just be free and wear what I want to wear and not be marginalized or treated differently because of it. And that's what I want. That's what I want for my kids. That's what I want for my generation. That's what I want for my community.
Because the maddest part is always, you know, when you do look outside of the Black community, everybody else, and I won't say everyone's cool all across, but it's not the same when it comes to clothing. Like clothing can make or break a lot of things for us, especially in this respect. We're talking about this kind of stuff with Black men, can make and break a lot of things for us. And for the women, then it's on a different level and to a different degree. And it'll take for women to really speak about that properly. But
yeah,
on my side, it's like for men, it can, for Black men, it can do a lot, like how you wear. And then you've got the ones that it's like, because when you're young, you see everyone getting picked off into like factions. So you can tell it from early, like who's gonna want to do roads, who's gonna want to be like who wants to. Do you know what I mean? And it's like that one's a bad thing, isn't it? You know, they're gonna dress and do everything to not be perceived as the positive. And it was I don't know if you've seen this documentary, The Defiant Ones.
Oh yeah.
For me, it's one of the best, if not, it's the best documentary I've ever seen produced. The ending music I wasn't a big fan of, but you know, the whole production of that documentary and the architecture of it, the way they put it together, is the best documentary I've seen to date alive. So, but there's one part that Jimmy says in there. He goes, and the whole documentary is about Jimmy Iovine and Dr. Dre. That's why I was deep in it. Maybe you haven't, or maybe it was a while from when you watched it, but it's about both their journeys and how it comes together. But Jimmy goes, he was working with Suge Knight, he was working with Tupac, he was working with Snoop, everyone. He was like, Dre, what he couldn't understand was where he came from in New York, you know, a lot of Italian mobsters or whatever, and they'd work a lot of their life doing the negative stuff, but they'd be working to legitimize themselves. So their goal would be, by the time I've left, my whole family could inherit. And I know this. He didn't explain it more like this, but I know this from just understanding that world a bit and, you know, watching your Godfathers and watching everything else. So to legitimize and so everyone's eating legit, no police can't pull you up. And that's a big theme in the Godfather movie as well. But he was like, what he couldn't understand is that these guys had everything. The lifestyle, they were connected to, you know, president, everybody, because they'd all come to Jimmy Iovine's house to play football, you know, on the weekend. So he said, I couldn't understand how they could have everything, but it's like they were, and I don't quote him, but it's what he said, kind of. They were putting off that lifestyle still. They were so far disconnected from it, and they had achieved a lot, and they had all this money, but they were still trying to live that lifestyle. He said, I couldn't understand it. But it was that moment, and Jimmy says that piece that, look, you know, everyone's, but it's mad because it's like you achieve all this success perhaps, and you achieve all this, you know, do you do all of that to then, you know, if we're describing uniform not just as clothing but as the whole concept and lifestyle, do you do all of that to then put on this uniform of negativity? So you know, and going back to the point about everybody getting picked off, clothing is a very powerful piece, because again, you had that period of time where you'd see black rep brothers as well, like they would go into these groups and it's like, and these are the good groups, you have to dress this way, you have to wear a suit and a tie all the time, and you know, you've got it, I think from what I've seen, you've got some notions of that in America as well, like they're the groups where you have to have this mentor, you have to speak this way, you have to address everybody with, you know, sir at the front and sir at the end, otherwise you're not respectful and all this kind of stuff. And it's like the world constantly trying to create these uniforms of what it means to all the things, all the tactics of engagement you have to put in place to be perceived as a good human being. Whereas for me, the world I want to live in is where everyone can be their authentic self within reason of that authentic self being goodness. Because, you know, I've seen some stuff about single killers and that authentic self is very different. But
yeah, levels.
Their authentic selves, and they don't have to do it. But, you know, is that possible in a world that everyone's taken by what you say, face value, what you wear? You know, so I get it, but I'm just saying, you had those ones that said you can't wear trainers, you can't wear those kind of clothing, because if you wear that kind of clothing, you're going to be associated with this. So you're going to have to wear all the opposite version of whatever that is, that clothing. You're going to have to speak the opposite way. You can't use slang in my house. You can't do X, Y, Z. You know what I'm saying? So all these things, and that becomes very interesting to dissect as well when you're talking about how a lot of us came up, because then the kicks or the uniform becomes a way to identify people, you know what I mean?
100%, man. One thing I wanted to get your opinion on, obviously you're wearing Drummer Boy, so shout out Drummer Boy. Well, I appreciate that, because Drummer Boy was big in the ends, and if you didn't know, do a little bit of research. Drummer Boy was out here, man. But you stepped your foot into street culture. You stepped your foot into streetwear, and obviously that's obviously closely associated with sneakers and that whole world. Like, talk about your influences in that regard. You get me? When you were coming up early and you were thinking and formulating Drummer Boy, and obviously early days, man, we worked together, like after you like formed everything, like we got an opportunity to really sit down and chop some like stuff up, and you went on to do some amazing things with Drummer Boy. Talk to me about your early influences. Talk to me about where that idea of Drummer Boy actually came from, and what spawned it.
And it's interesting because, like, at the same time, you know, I think this is a really interesting, and I feel you can only really do this with people, you know, this piece, because the interview technique is very different in the sense that I'll be forced to answer similar questions in other interviews I've been doing quite a bit, but not in a way that feels this poetic, right? Because you're trying to do it from the kick angle, but then equally you've got the angle of relationship. We've known each other for many years, so people don't know that you had a business as well called Light Prints. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we're out here.
Light Prints was doing bits as well. You know what I'm saying?
Doing okay.
it's mad because
Light Prince, just so you know, people
Is that
out
Light
here.
Prince?
Yeah, Light Prince thing. So we're there, bro. We're there. We're there.
Let me actually see if I've got a picture of us. I seen it the other day.
For those that don't know, me and my best friend Peter, shout out Peter, we used to print t-shirts, hoodies and that sort of stuff. We worked with some amazing people. This was eccentric Omar. He's an amazing artist. He's still knocking about, so shout out Omar, man. But we also got to work with Cephas and Drummer Boy as well, so that was pretty sick. So we got to do a lot of cool stuff. Like,
I remember your office, man, differently.
Yeah. Oh wow. All right. You reminded me, man. We had the office in Deptford. Shout out Ghetto, man. Yeah. We were in Deptford, man. That was a lovely little office. We used to do all the printing there before we had to we kind of grew out of that space and we kind of expanded and partnered with a bigger printer before we ended up closing up a few years later. But yeah, man, it was a great experience, man. We really enjoyed it.
But this is
fire. I love that picture, bro. I love that picture.
We used to deep fry them pictures.
For real, filters from every angle.
This was also another deep fried.
Oh wow. We love that, man.
Putting me heavy, man, differently.
Bro, we were there, man. Bro, now you're gassing. They were early days things, man. But bro, like we believed in the thing, bro. See, massive shout out Peckham High Road, yeah.
Peckham High Street, yeah.
High Street, yeah. Apologies.
That's cool. 93 Peckham High Street. I'll never forget. But so it's interesting. So and now we've even gone all the way past the question, but the question was in and around talk about how street culture and the rest. So it's funny because when I first started Drummer Boy, I've been trying to recreate what it meant to be from. I'm saying because, and this is mad when we start talking about the differentiation between the uniform of negativity and the uniform of aspiration. I don't know. And a lot of the times, like, it was just always associated to negativity, even in the music videos, all that kind of stuff. And I've always tried to find a line between, you know, everyone spitting, where we draw the line between being the hood CNN or the hood BBC and the problem. Do you know what I mean? Or where do we draw the line between the change, you know, what spurs it on? So, and again, I say this often, there's a difference between Tupac changes and Tupac hit 'em up. You know, I missed it both heavy. Like, both of them was really great pieces of work. But the influence of Tupac hit 'em up in my particular life was felt differently than the influence from Changes. And my mood is different listening to both of these things. So, and you can find that comparison in a lot of, you know, art that's created. And, you know, there is that argument, you can only create what you understand and what you know, it's a very deep one. So long and short, like, in association to all of the music videos that was going on in the UK and everything that was happening, you'd have like a lot of street culture and street clothing. And, you know, I would just, and then here's some deep, crazy stuff, right? So then you had like Obey and Superdry and, you know, sorry, not Superdry. Let me part that for one second. You had Obey, you had Supreme, you had all these type of brands. And it felt like, I didn't know, but it felt like those brands weren't run by black people.
No.
I don't know, but it felt like, but I could feel their influence. I could feel their influence.
That's it.
In and around the situation.
Yeah.
But even when you look at your Nike and you look at, these weren't companies that were run, Adidas, they weren't run by black people or didn't come from Africa. You know, Adidas is a German company, but they used black culture to amplify the situation. And whether that's sports players, musicians, artists. So And then you've got like the super dry piece. But I would never see, so I didn't see like a black brand that was like on a super dry level. So the maddest thing, because when I was coming up, super dry was one of the biggest brands. Like a lot of people was wearing super dry at one point. And I said to myself, I want to see Drummer Boy on everyone the same. I couldn't go out without seeing somebody wearing super dry. I still think you can't, even till
no,
today.
it's definitely big. It was huge for
every time I went out, saw people, and not even in the bits, but like people
everywhere. No, yeah, everywhere. Super dry were listed on the stock exchange. They were massive.
Yeah, so for me, it's like, so that when I look at the brands that I wanted to be like, I wanted to have the type of influence of a super dry and the footprint business wise. But what I started to do that super dry, and then I looked at other brands were good at doing, was attaching their brand identity to an idea. And so the reason why Drummer Boy, even though a lot of the time we were putting out the messages, we did this for a long time, it's the logo, but initially it was just the messages. The reason why you saw me very much trying to attach this logo to an idea is because of Superdry. Because I saw a lot of other people in the bits that create clothing, but I didn't feel like that clothing was attached to an idea that was, in my head, something that helped me escape. So it was me, like it was like, and if it was to really go back, yeah, what did I see growing up that I was like, boom? So when I first said, boom, I'm gonna do a clothing line, the story of Drummer Boy was, I was gonna go around giving motivational speeches, because a lot of people, if they could say, boom, was one thing that, you know, let's say the day I die, and people were like, well, what's one thing that stood out to you about Cephas? They'd probably go back to a conversation we had. Or like, yo, like one time I was in this position in my life and Cephas spoke to me in X, right? And I know that because I know people have said that to me personally, right? A lot of people. And it's a consistent. So I said, if that's the case, then there's something about my mind, and there's something about my ability to communicate and articulate that is. And so I was thinking, let me go around and give motivational speeches. I was literally going to do that. And I thought, no, like, let's do that. It's a lot of people giving motivational speeches. I didn't really like the idea of motivational speaking. I didn't feel like what I did was motivational speaking. I thought what I did was like, somebody would come to me and talk to me and I would just go off. And people would go to these motivational things and leave feeling charged and then like not really have substance after. That's how I felt at the time. And so I said, okay, instead of putting these messages, going out and giving these messages, why don't I put these messages and these thoughts and these things that people are like, yo, boom, that's deep, da 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 da. So I come up with quotes and you put them on the t-shirts, and that's where it came from. So then I end up doing this business plan. So my first business plan was like thick, like proper, like this big. It was a waste of my time, but it was an interesting exercise.
I completely agree.
It was a good exercise though. Like I learned a lot from doing it.
Exactly.
And one part of that business plan I did. So I did the SWOT analysis. So, and then I did the competitor analysis as well. So when I did the competitor analysis, I started to look at who in the community who would be my direct competition, because it wouldn't be Superdry. They would be some form of competition, because people, why would you not spend money on Superdry and spend it on me? But direct, I saw brands like Teddy Bear Club, and this is going way back now.
Way back.
So I saw the Teddy Bear Club. I saw Way Better Know was one.
Yeah, that's out there.
At the time there as well, like these were like, when I started to look, because I wasn't aware of the Teddy Bear Club like that, and I wasn't aware of Way Better Know, and maybe because I wasn't so ingrained in that street culture like that of Way Better Know. I knew of JME, 96 Bars of Revenge, like that was, and then Way Better. So, but I didn't know that the clothing line was out there like that, and then also the Teddy. So those two brands were two brands I was looking at. Okay, cool. And so at that point, when you're thinking about what's possible and you're thinking about how to articulate that piece, you've got screen printing, because both brands utilize screen printing. Now, Superdry also utilized screen printing. So, and it felt like that would have been but bro, this is the poetic and the maddest part, because how do you Google something you don't know?
What's the name, bro? I remember when we started, like, I remember telling Peter, have you heard of this? Have you heard of this screen printing thing? And he's like, what are you talking about? Like, I thought we were going to do embroidery. That's the one we knew about, embroidery. We're talking about screen printing. Like, anyway, we started doing our research and we found out like the process and realized that is the standard in the industry. That is what all, like, everyone, that's what they're using to produce their stuff. Like, so that's how it came about. But honestly, how do you know until you know?
So here's the poetry. Like, this is, so I'm talking about this now because I know it's moving in the same way, because I'm going back now to like, bro, like when I started, didn't nobody tell me like, boom, and Google wasn't all the way that big at that time as well.
Yeah,
so
it wasn't like that, man.
It was big, but you can't just go into Google and say, oh hey, like now if I was trying to find something probably easier. So but then, how did I find my first ever printers? I remember when I first started, I was probably like, 16 when I started doing the research. And I would remember being at college and I'd call like different suppliers and I'd have a different name. So I think one of the names I had was John. So it looked like, you know, in my head, it looked like there was a couple people running this thing. You know what I mean?
The games we play.
It used to look like there was like, and I quickly went over that phase. So I was very much trying to create, and it's not that boom, you know. So Boy But No was really doing that. You know, Teddy Bear Companies already associate themselves to a particular lifestyle, and this that. Then there was Ferraducci as well at one point.
Shout out Ferraducci, man. I got fond memories of Ferraducci. I don't know if you know this. Yeah, I will give you a quick story. Let me tell you a quick story about Ferraducci. So people won't know this. Yeah, I went to SFX, right, and I literally was in the same class as a guy called Ade, one of the creators of Ferraducci, and we used to do science class together. Right, and Ade is amazing. Like I haven't spoken to him in years, but at the time, like, he's like the life. Like, he's just like super hilarious guy. Right, I remember one day, them man at the back of the class. Yeah, right. I'm not a back of the class guy. I'm a middle of the class guy. Like, cause I'm still trying to get things done. You get me? But like, them man at the back of the class, they're doing the thing, and the class hasn't started yet, and they started just saying like names. Like, cause they were like, I'm gonna start a clothing brand. And literally, and please, like, and people, if you think you know the story and it's different to this, don't. I'm not. I was there. I was there in the class. You get me? It might have been Mr. Powell's class. You get me? Let me put it to you like that. I was there, right? They were like, fam, I want to make something like Fendi. I want to make something like Gucci.
Oh, that's what it feels like this.
I want to make something like Prada. You get me? And they started bubbling all their words, and out of that, yeah, Ferraducci, bro. And I was like, these men are gone. They're crazy. But few years later, they were smashing. They had a shop in Woolworth. They had a lot of stuff going on.
One of the biggest brands in South at a point.
Real talk.
I'm not in South. Like, I went to school in Northwest London, right, to college. So Ferraducci, I think they came out after or around a similar time. And even if they came out around a similar time, it doesn't matter. I never knew about them, so I didn't do research on them. So I never knew about them until like maybe 1-2 years into Drummer Boy. But when I knew about them because I went to at that point when I was like 18, so it was college. So I started Drummer Boy at 16, 17. I went to college at like 18. At that point, people in Northwest was wearing their caps. It was that boom. You could see like they was everywhere. But again, it was very ingrained in the streets and like and you know, it's a lot of different stories around where that went and what happened and But long and short of the whole situation, with Drummer Boy, I was trying to create a brand. I was always trying to reinvent what that wanted to be. I didn't want a brand that was just subject to what had been given to us, to the black community almost. This is what it means to be black, and it's like what it means to be black is like. I didn't want that vibe. I wanted a vibe that was different in it. So at certain points, I was trying to explore like Chinese and like the Asian piece because I liked what Superdry did with, you know, mixing Asian type of text and typography with West Coast lifestyle and I was very interested. So I explored and experimented with drum boy in that way, because that was just different, and I didn't feel like I fit into all the other vibes. You know what I'm saying? Like, I could identify with it and I could play the part, but it wasn't authentic to me. So, you know, I was very much trying to reinvent that. So that's a bit about Drummer Boy. So my thing was always about positive messages, aspirational, and the whole Drummer Boy piece was what I was called at a certain point, and it was it was very simple. My message to the world. So instead of calling it Cephas' clothing, I called it Drummer Boy clothing. Do you know what I mean? Because that's the alter ego. It was this persona of, you know, relating it to the actual instrument of the drum, and the drum being one of the most powerful, in my opinion, instruments, keeping the pulse, keeping the beat. You know, what the strap line for Drummer Boy, many people might not know, is dance to the beat of your own drum. So in a world that is constantly trying to tell you who you need to be, and this is very poetic and therapeutic actually when you're talking about what inspired it. It's like I was trying to create my own rhythm in a world that was telling us street culture means this, or coming from New Cross means this or means that. I was very much about using the articles, right? So the hoodie or the t-shirt, but I wanted that to now stand for something beyond just like street, you know, personas. And, you know, it's funny that full circle, I've almost done that with 56. When I'm trying to reinvent what this feels like. So if I'm a young black man and I put on this hoodie, I don't feel like I have to be a bad man, innit? Like I can just go about doing me. That's what Drummer Boy was really trying to do. So when I say dance to the beat of your own drum, we were trying to reinvent what that energy was, what that persona was. And funny enough, Full Circle did it with 56. And I've never actually articulated it like this, in the sense that what made me start 56 was the council and a crooked landlord fighting against Drummer Boy. And I ended up being in a space where I couldn't trade. I was frustrated, fell asleep in the studio, had a dream, and in that dream was 56 black men. And I woke up, and the next day I messaged you, Ade, and a couple of people in my contact list, and I asked everyone if you would recommend one more person, and that's how we got 56.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Kicks Chronicles. Please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share, rate, review, and all that good stuff. And remember, full video version is available on YouTube, audio versions available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.